Good day or good evening to each and every one of us. I am Remeline and I will be presenting chapter 4, which has the topic Project Implementation in School. Now let's define change and innovation. Change and innovation are objects of scientific study that are essential for the advancement and development of a school. Change is a series of planned and unplanned changes to instruction and organization made by the project team during the project's implementation. So these changes are made so that the project's planned goals can be met. An example of change would be adding new technology to a school so that students could learn. Innovation, on the other hand, is a company's process for developing set of steps that a company takes to make something new. Innovation could involve establishing a new curriculum for a specific student population or group. So therefore, it's safe to say that an innovation can be a factor of change. Plan change, teachers, education counselors, head teachers, and principals, they actually plan and implement change. And the Department of Education initiates it to improve the school system. While unplanned change may or may not be human driven, it is unplanned but may affect the school system. So we have here the external variables like the economic or social developments or internal elements like student demographics or teaching approaches or teaching methods. Under plan change, we have the typology of change or system of change. We have first, second, and third order change. The first order change happens when specific change is found and made to a way of thinking that is already in place. For example, a school might switch from a traditional schedule to a block schedule, where the same amount of instruction is given in a different way. The second order change is when the change requires new ways of thinking and questioning. Not only that, but also change in the basic ideas that underlie the situation. A school that adds interdisciplinary learning to its curriculum is an example of a second order change. This means that teachers have to rethink how they teach and how they test their students. So, kailangang mag-adjust at mag-adapt ulit ang mga teachers dito. The third order change is when people working on a project get into the habit of questioning their own assumptions and points of view. Not only that, but they would come up with and use new ideas. So, as an example of a third order change, a school could start using a project based learning method that requires teachers, students, and administrators to work together to plan and carry out projects that reflect how people solve problems in the real world. An educational project is an initiative or program to improve teaching, learning, and schooling. As an example of these educational projects could include a program to introduce a new STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math curriculum in a school. The project would involve teachers and administrators designing new lesson plans and assessments, providing professional development to ensure that teachers are well equipped to teach the new curriculum. And of course, not only that, but to implement it in their classroom. To exemplify the complexity of the change process, let's see Shine's 1987 three steps model of change. The first stage of the change process is unfreezing. This involves creating motivation and readiness to change. So dito, the project manager can conduct a survey and present a data that shows a gap of the current condition of the school, which needs improvement to what would be better for the school. So by doing this, the teachers would be likely motivated and on board in the project. The second stage is changing. This involves cognitive restructuring. In here, a change of perspective transpires. The project team must identify with a new model or leader and scan the environment for new and relevant information about the project. So it gives the opportunity to learn from others' perspectives, not only on one person or on our own. And finally, we have refreezing. In this stage, it involves the integration of the change for school members. At this stage, project members need to try out the new behavior, get feedback, and be rewarded as a team. By doing this, they could have the change to grow professionally and, of course, to have that sense of fulfillment. In addition, let's take a look at the model of change which was proposed by Scragg in 2010. The first stage is ending, which involves letting go of the old situation as a precondition to acquiring new skills and competencies required for implementing the project. So this requires teachers affected by the project to adapt new ways of working, such as adapting to new technology and instructional strategies. For trainings, seminars, and workshops, we sometimes hear the coaches, the mentors, and trainers who sometimes say that we have to unlearn what we learned in the past and learn new things again. So this process is important and needed. Why do we need to let go? Because they're already obsolete and probably not applicable today. The second stage would be the neutral zone, or it's also known as the transition period. In this stage, it involves learning new skills, methods, ideas, and attitudes to support the project. Project managers and teams should provide support, mentorship, and guidance to help teachers adjust to the new environment. So don't just introduce and let them go. No, you have to walk as a project manager, you have to walk through the process with them and help them be equipped. And finally, the third stage is the new beginning, which involves integrating the change and helping teachers feel comfortable with their new roles and responsibilities. Siyempre, medyo gamay na nila yung mga tasks given to them. So project members need to practice the new behaviors, not only project members, but even the project manager team needs to receive feedback and of course, be rewarded. We have here the two facilitators of the change process. The first one would be successful planned change requires a well-formulated educational vision. That's right. A well-formulated educational vision should involve coherence founded on reality, credibility and challenge, stakeholder satisfaction, leadership involvement, and public visibility. So dapat clear ang vision at alam ng lahat ng involved sa project na ito. Second, development of emotional commitment toward the changes and trusting relationships among the staff. Good project managers should make sure to foster this commitment in order to effectively implement the project. This happens only if they see the value and the need of this change. And of course, we know that in any kind of relationship, trust is one of the foundations in order to have a successful and healthy one. The inhibitors of change. So, what slows down the change? First and foremost, we have an unclear, ambiguous project plan. So teachers may not act on the change. Why? Hindi nila makita kasi yung relevance or importance nito. Therefore, there's no urgency. Without a defined vision or change strategy, teachers and project teams may become fixated. Therefore, it is a failure. So, of course, before we board on the plane, we members need to know where and why we go. Easy solutions, it's a tendency to take the fast hit, whether or not under pressure. In this scenario, a project manager rushes to implement the project in the school without assessing its culture, structure, and even the environment. And because of this, it's a failure. Under such conditions, the project manager may try to implement simple modifications that seem like easy solutions but are actually not. So the project team may apply the change, but the results won't be good. For example, a placement test in an English centers, math centers, or science centers, or any kind of private educational institution. Placement test is done to properly put the student in their proper level in class. When students enroll, they are not just thrown to any class. A beginner student cannot be in an advanced class, nor an advanced student be in an intermediate class, or else it would be chaos. The third inhibitor would be lack of control. So, due to frequent unforeseen interruptions or external pressures, example nito, yung government policies, if they would change, what else? Economy, we cannot control them. So the project manager and team may feel helpless and frustrated. And because of this, the results would be failure. Another, low trust and interpersonal relationships in the staff room may also impede project implementation. So again, trust is important as well as good connection with the others. For example, when teachers feel they cannot trust each other, they tend to withhold their information, what else, other information about them, or whatever they want to say, their opinion, their commitment, and they would be reluctant to participate in meetings and discussions. Fifth, lack of commitment from the principal to the project implementation. The school principal must support the project manager beyond formal approval. So the principal, as the school's leader, should believe in the project's importance in school. The principal's disinterest may cut funding, discourage teachers from implementing the initiative or program or project, or even end it. So napaka-importante ang commitment ng principal sa project na ito. Finally, available time for innovation hinders change. I'm sure all of us can relate to this somehow. For decades, standardization, accountability, marketization, and other neoliberal education reforms, they have overwhelmed principals and teachers. So given that they have so much on their plates already, paano na nila isisingit ang new project na ito? Under these conditions, many teachers and educational leaders may view project implementation as extra labor on top of their regular duties. Due to this, they may respond to the project grudgingly, selectively, or no responses at all. In light of this point, I'd just like to share how foreign teachers are in Vietnam. So, we foreign teachers normally apply for public schools or private schools. So either we only have the workloads or classes for at least 4 hours in a day, and the remaining hours would be preparation. Why? It depends on the contract, but in most foreign teachers' case here, 20 hours per week, yun na yung maximum sa full-time. And then, even sa private schools, ibang private schools, not only for public schools. In some public and private schools, they need to stay doon sa school mismo. Pero yung iba, they allow the teachers to just go home. And For elementary and even sa prep, they actually have teaching assistant, either one or two or three, or depending on the class size. So these teaching assistants would help the class management, and they would also help sa IMs or instructional materials ng mga teachers. So sa lesson planning, kami na yung bahala dito. And then yun yung full-time job namin during Mondays to Fridays. And then in the evening, we tend to apply sa mga English center. So we could work there for 2 hours, 3 hours, or 4 hours, starting at 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Depende. So sa evening siya. So full-time kami during the day, and then we're going to have part-time classes in the evening. For some teachers, they don't want to apply sa English center, but they have private classes or private tutorial online, or they could just go to the house of the student, or maybe sa coffee shop, pwede rin yun. Kasi some of the coffee shops here have rooms conducive for learning. So yun. But other teachers choose to have busy life, gaya ng having full-time job and part-time job. So we're not busy because of the paperwork or anything na nire-require ng school, but we are busy because of our part-time jobs. So therefore, in this situation, foreign teachers here could focus on their class, focus on what they're going to teach, and the teaching assistants could help them in preparing the IMs. Teachers' responses to educational change range from overt to covert, adherence to old professional habits to resistance of change. Teachers can publicly or secretly rely on the familiar strategies and practices they have known, and wag na lang makipag-participate sa mga professional learning opportunities offered to them kahit na aware sila na mababa yung achievement or performance ng bata, which implies na hindi na gaanong ka-effective yung previous methods na ginagamit nila. So they could respond to change positively or negatively, overtly or covertly. So resistance is often motivated by teachers' beliefs and principles, which are difficult to change, especially if they strongly differ from the type of changes required by the new educational project. So what causes resistance to change? We have here three causes. First one would be selective perception of the reality can result in a biased view of a particular situation. Bakit? Due to an individual's tendency to perceive the reality subjectively rather than objectively. Kung ano yung alam or kung ano yung nakikita, yun na yun. So sometimes we tend to miss the bigger picture. Next would be fear of the unknown. This actually causes anxiety, and when we people are anxious, we tend to resist, and that's human nature. Lastly, threats to expertise, established relationships, and resource allocation caused by the new project. For example, replacing current teaching method which was mastered by senior teachers. So, field of expertise nila yon, tas biglang mapapalitan. They would feel threatened in the end. How so? By being stripped of the authority, stripped of the power, and resources they already had established or received before. So, masakit yun. Teachers' responses to change have been described as a dynamic process by Rashford and Coglan, who presented four psychological stages of change. Deny, then they would dodge and tell that, hey, sa iba pwede, pero sa akin, I don't need. And then finally, they're going to do it. And then sustaining, have to maintain, or keep doing it. Now let's take a look at the roles of the project manager. The first one would be establishing the catalyst for change. We establish the catalyst for change by communicating the necessity to update traditional teaching practices. Not only that, but to tell the benefits of doing so. Second, establishing the vision. How? We can establish the vision by defining the goals that need to be achieved in order for it to be successful. Mobilizing commitment of the team. This could be done by forming coalitions in support of the change and persuading teachers to embrace the new methods. The fourth, clarifying the project's objectives. How? By defining, of course, the roles and duties of each stakeholder involved in the project. And lastly, sustaining the project. It is done by incorporating the newly developed instructional strategies into the standard operating procedures of the school and ensuring that the program is maintained over the long term. So it's for the long run. Change strategies and project implementation. We have here 6 strategies. The first strategy would to assess needs and problems seriously. So the project team must carefully and thoroughly diagnose problems before any change is undertaken. Second, a display of empathy with teachers. Manager should be attentive to teachers' concerns and suggestions during the process of adjustment and transition. And not only that, but to offer professional assistance, workshops, coaching session, and so on. Why? In order to support the staff cognitively and emotionally. So by doing this, teachers may feel confident enough to go on with the change and will be motivated to perform the project effectively. Of course, they would feel that they are being heard and listened to, and they're part of it. Strategy number 3, providing information and involving others. The project manager should disseminate or properly cascade the information to all involved individuals. So this ensures that members have an opportunity to discuss how the new project is understood and what they are hoping to achieve. Furthermore, apart from teachers and parents, students should be involved as change partners so that they can co-design their own learning experiences. Not only that, but build on their strengths and realize their own potential. As we learned from our assessment subject before, that students should be our active partners in developing new assessment, not only in that area, but also in their learning experiences. Strategy number 4, influence of the peer group. So in here, the project manager has to pay attention to the school's values and norms. So kailangan alam ng project manager kung ano ba yung values ng school na yun. Ano ba yung norms ng school na yun. Not only that, but to work with them to make sure na yung bagong project would really fit sa cultural script nila. Only then it is likely that teachers' participation in the project will lead to the results that were hoped for, which the project manager needs. Strategy number 5, making the change concrete through training. One of the highlights, I could say, a critical aspect of change implementation is teachers' willingness to take risks when changing their teaching practices, which is necessary in order to bring about effective educational change. Kaya may professional development training. At the end of the day, as educators, we all believe and agree that learning is a lifelong process, and it only stops when we stop breathing. Last strategy would be overcoming resistance to change. So how to overcome resistance to change? It can be overcome by teachers' involvement in planning. Again, the more that the teachers are involved, the more that they have this sense of belonging. By developing positive relationships and trust among the project team, that's why meron tayong mga team building activities. Third would be maintaining fairness in leading the project implementation. No favoritism. Everyone deserves to be treated equally. Giving a key role. If a project manager could actually do this, give a key role to some of his team members, he is giving them sense of responsibility in a way that it would eventually lead to winning their support. And lastly, selecting team members. The project manager can select basing on the members' career histories, sa age nila, personalities, pwede rin yung field of expertise. Actually, yun yung, I think, pinakaunang kinoconsider nila. Therefore, the project manager needs to be purposeful or intentional. It is widely accepted that team building is an essential part of any project implementation. So, developing relationships among teachers participating in the team is likely to accomplish remarkable project results. So, Robbins and George provide an explanation for the high value of teams in project implementation. Let me read. A work team generates positive synergy through coordinated effort. The individual efforts result in a level of performance greater than the sum of those individual inputs. So, in other words, synergy is the key. We also have here the 6 characteristics of highly effective team. So the team can be considered as highly effective if it has, first, common plan and purpose. So it's really important that the team knows what the plan is and why it is planned. Second, adequate resources. So resources like updated information, tools needed, and right number of staff. Leadership and structure. Leadership and structure are essential to agree on work details and use everyone's skills. To make each team member feel included and treated equally in job assignments and efforts, the project manager must integrate task-oriented and people-oriented leadership styles. Why? Because task-oriented leadership emphasizes on goals, direction, and efficiency, while people-oriented leadership fosters relationships, support, and teamwork. Both are needed to balance the team. It's not good if the project manager focuses only on goals and efficiency and he doesn't nurture teamwork and healthy relationship. In that case, failure is just on the doorstep waiting for a chance to knock. Fourth would be the team composition. Having different members with different skills and expertise make the team great. The diversity of members gives higher value to the team kasi their uniqueness and strengths complement each other. So every member has something different to offer. The fifth would be the climate of trust. It's really proven that it's easier for team members to work together with the project manager if they trust each other. This brings people on the team closer because they know they won't be taken advantage of by others. Why? Because there is trust. And because there is trust, transparency, humility, and harmony are cultured in the team. Lastly, would be the performance evaluation. Regular assessment of their own work and overall work can positively affect their performance, of course. Therefore, the project manager has to give both constructive criticism and commendation objectively. The project manager give not only because he has to, but the project manager gives because the members need to hear words of affirmation and encouragement. Lastly, marketing the project scope to internal and external stakeholders. It is not sufficient to just operate the project efficiently. It is of the utmost importance to familiarize stakeholders with the project and the benefits it will bring to the school. Internal and external stakeholders are important. So when we talk about internal stakeholders, ito yung project manager, uh, team members or other school members, teachers from different professional backgrounds. The external stakeholders could be the parents, meron din yung mga local politicians. Now, let's talk about product approach. Generally, the product approach in educational marketing is based on the assumption that buyers will purchase the products that offer the best quality and features. This approach focuses on product development and improvement. So we have here the four phases in marketing. Firstly, marketing research and analysis of the environment. Before putting the project into action in the school, it is important to look at the needs and wants of the school members and the school environment. So halimbawa, how parents feel about education and ano nga ba yung mga expectations ng mga local politicians. Second, formulate a marketing plan and strategy to advertise the project to teachers, students, and community. One of the techniques would be emphasizing the project's quality. Ano pa ba? What would be the benefit of this project sa community? They could actually use that. Not only in the community, but in the classroom itself. Thirdly is implementing the promotion mix. The project manager is in charge of telling people in the community and at the school about the project. So he would be the speaker. And the project team or manager can talk about the project during open days. So during the days wherein parents and students would be invited at school, school meetings, pwede rin nilang ilagay sa school brochures, and other ways how other schools would market themselves. Lastly, would be evaluating the marketing process. A marketing evaluation could question how well the open evening presentation persuaded parents and teachers of the project's value to student education. So was it effective or was not really that effective? Another is the project manager could also ask parents how the brochure made them feel about the project. Were they encouraged? Was it effective to put the project in the brochure or school's brochure? And that is the end of my topic. I hope that we have learned even just one thing. Thank you so much, and God bless us all.